Welcome to the Simply Financial podcast. I'm your host, Christopher Calandra. I am happy to say that spring has sprung. I live in the Northeast, Connecticut, and this is a wonderful time of year after a long, dreary winter. It's always a great thing when you see the seasons change, the weather warm, flowers bloom. So, great time of year, one of my favorites. Today's episode is about getting some financial spring cleaning done. So I want to talk to you about 7 things I think that you can do this spring to improve your financial wherewithal. Number 1 is to organize documents and accounts. You might have piles of statements and documents that you haven't had a chance to get to now. So go through them. Think about maybe going paperless, which will reduce clutter. You can also think about, as you go through the pile, what needs to be saved and what needs to be destroyed. And if you're going to save it, think about saving it electronically or digitally instead of paper files. Although paper files are fine, it really is a personal choice. And those papers and documents that you don't need, they should be shredded to protect your privacy. Next, review accounts. Are any accounts that you have, can they be closed? Do they not make sense anymore? Could they be consolidated into something else to reduce the amount of accounts that you're keeping track of? This is a chance to make things a little simpler and easier for you to keep track of. And in many instances, you might be able to save some fees too by having less accounts. So that's number 1, organize your documents and accounts. Number 2 is to review beneficiary designations. I talk about this a lot in my practice, and I've talked about it on the podcast before. But as part of the spring cleaning, go through your accounts, make sure beneficiaries are named. This is applicable for retirement accounts, life insurance policies, annuities if you have them. It could also be relevant for non-retirement accounts, bank accounts, and other investment accounts. You can name beneficiaries. You typically want to name a primary beneficiary. It could be one or more people. Could also be a trust or some other entity. And also name backup. It's called a contingent beneficiary, so that if the primary beneficiary is not available, there's a backup. So the classic example would be husband and wife. Husband names the wife as the primary beneficiary and the children as contingent beneficiary. So review your beneficiaries is the second spring cleaning item I wanted to talk to you about. The third is to review your subscriptions. We live in this wonderful, wonderful digital world that offers so many benefits, but you can have digital clutter in the same way you have a stack of statements maybe on your desk. You might have a stack of emails that have built up in your inbox. So we want to take care of this digital clutter. You can go through your emails. You could unsubscribe to emails that you're getting that no longer interest you, or maybe you never even signed up for them. Maybe you signed up for them and forgot, but go through your email, unsubscribe to ones that you don't want to receive any longer. You could also move stuff to junk. Most email services have gotten better at sorting this stuff out for you. Not foolproof, but I have seen improvement over the last several years. For the emails that you want to keep, organize them. You can save them in your email. You could set up folders, but clean out that email. This is an area that I am not particularly strong in. My emails, my email inboxes can, if I'm not diligent, kind of grow like a weed. The next part of reviewing these subscriptions is to check subscriptions that you're paying for, that you might be getting billed on your credit card automatically or might be auto-drafted out of your checking account. Review them. See if you're using them, if you still want to keep them. Is it needed? It might have been something you did on an impulse some time ago and you've been getting billed and are not really taking advantage of it. That's not to say that we shouldn't have subscriptions. I subscribe to a lot of things, but sometimes they run their course and we never go through the step of canceling them. That'll save you some money and perhaps help with the digital clutter getting cleaned out. So that's number 3. The 4th spring cleaning task is to go over your insurance policies. Wow, that doesn't sound like fun at all, does it? But make sure you have the right type of coverage, the right amounts, and that you are getting your coverage at a good price. So depending on your circumstances, there might be various insurance policies that can be reviewed, policies that you might have or policies that you might want to consider buying. Life insurance, health insurance, disability, auto, homeowners, a renter's policy if you're not a homeowner but renting, an umbrella policy. These are all types of insurance policies you can consider reviewing as part of this spring cleaning project we're talking about. So number 4 is review your insurance policies. Number 5, tax withholding. You've just gotten past the filing of your taxes. Unless you're on extension, you would have filed your taxes for the prior year. So what I would have you do is take a fresh look using your latest tax return. You usually don't want to get a big tax refund. A big tax refund usually means that you gave the government a free loan. You paid them money during the year in lieu of getting it in your paycheck, only to have it returned to you when the government was ready sometime the following year. I think in most instances, it's better to have that money in your paycheck to improve your cash flow throughout the year. On the other hand, it's also not a good idea, in my opinion, to get a big tax bill where you underpay the IRS and you have a richer cash flow, but then you have to pay the piper come tax time. This can be ruinous to a budget. It also has a tendency to be pretty stressful when you have a big bill to the IRS. And most people, including me, don't want to have to deal with the IRS more than I need to. Again, in most situations, it's best if you are about zeroed out. In a perfect world, you'd pay them what is owed during the year, not any more, not any less. You're not going to get it perfectly correct, but the goal is to get it close to neutral as possible. So number 5, review your tax holding. Number 6, automate your savings. In preparing for this podcast, I thought about a book. It's an older book now, probably from, I don't know, maybe 2003, 2004. The author is David Bach. It's The Automatic Millionaire. And the book goes into what I'm going to talk about very, very briefly. But automate your savings. Get things on autopilot so that you know you're taking care of your financial goals and initiatives, but make it very user-friendly by the autopilot advantages. So for 401ks, retirement accounts through work, this kind of happens seamlessly, right? You have money withdrawn from your paycheck, goes into your 401k, and I think this is a reason why an awful lot of people have their largest liquid asset is their 401k. It's because of the automation part of things. Of course, part of it is the money typically gets invested. It is not easy to get to in many instances. You might be receiving employer contributions. All of those factors also help the account grow. But I think the single biggest one is the automation. So we could take that and do it elsewhere. If you're funding retirement accounts, IRAs, Roth IRAs, you could set it up to do it monthly. Same thing for college funds. If you want to build up your savings for an emergency fund for some other purposes, you could set it so that your paycheck goes into your checking account and money automatically moves to one or more other accounts, bank accounts perhaps, that are earmarked for different things: an emergency fund, car fund, vacation fund, new home fund, what have you. But automating savings is a great way to increase chances that you are successfully moving towards your goals. So number 6 is automate your savings. Speaking of goals, that's number 7. Most people think about some New Year's resolutions and some goals for the new year. I know I am a big proponent of that. I've talked about it on the podcast before. I think it's incredibly valuable. And it's not just my opinion. There is ample academic and real life data out there that demonstrates how powerful a tool this is. So you should have set goals in December, January for the new year. But many people fall off the wagon, if you will, and they move away from their goals, and they may not have tracked them diligently over the first couple of months. So now that it's spring, part of the spring cleaning project is to revisit those goals. Are you on track? Do the goals need to be updated? Maybe something has changed and the goals need to be updated and changed. That's fine, but revisit your goals. If you didn't set any goals, financial goals for the new year, now is a great time to do it so that you could accomplish some important things through the year, things that are important to you in your situation, for your personal journey. And the last part about goals I wanted to mention is celebrate progress. If you've gotten some good things done on the money front in the first portion of the year, now that it's springtime, celebrate those successes. Treat yourself to something, make note of it with your spouse and partner, pat yourself on the back, maybe go for a nice dinner, but celebrate your progress. That is awfully important as well. So revisit your goals as part of the spring cleaning project. So those are my 7 spring cleaning tasks for you. I know I will be going through this myself, but again, to review, number 1, organize your documents and accounts. Number 2, review your beneficiaries. Number 3, review your subscriptions. Number 4, go over your insurance policies. 5, review your tax withholding. 6, automate your savings. And number 7, take a look at your financial goals. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Simply Financial podcast. I appreciate you listening today. I would also appreciate it if you'd subscribe to this podcast. I would thank you if I knew that you were going to do that. I also would appreciate it if you recommended it to a friend, family member, associate, someone you think that would like this kind of content. And lastly, go to the website, elliottwealth.com, where you could see more about me, the team here, how we help our clients win with money. Thanks for listening today. I'll be back with you on the next episode of the Simply Financial podcast very soon.
The views expressed are not necessarily the opinion of SagePoint Financial Incorporated and should not be construed directly or indirectly as an offer to buy or sell any securities mentioned herein. Investing is subject to risks, including loss of principal invested. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. No strategy can assure a profit nor protect against loss. Please note that individual situations can vary. Therefore, the information should be relied upon when coordinated with individual professional advice. Please note, the information being provided is strictly as a courtesy. When you link to any of the websites provided here, you are leaving this website. We make no representation as to the completeness or accuracy of the information provided at these websites, nor is the company liable for any direct or indirect technical or system issues or any consequences arising out of your access to your use of third-party technologies, websites, information, and programs made available through this website. When you access one of these websites, you are leaving our website and assume total responsibility and risk for your use of the websites you are linking to. Securities and advisory services are offered through SagePoint Financial Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC. Insurance services offered through Elliott Wealth Management, LLC, not affiliated with SagePoint Financial.